Imagine this. The best pasta sauce you have ever tasted sits abandoned on a plate. Wasted sauce. That is a tragedy. If only you had used Barilla al Bronzo pasta. Its bronze-cut texture holds your sauce and scoops up every last drop. The Italians call that scarpetta. Capture sauce the Italian way. Barilla al Bronzo. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit temptationstreats.com to learn more.
Have you heard about Hyphenly from Immigrantly Media? It's a curated roundup of books, articles, music, podcasts, and other interesting things we think you'll love, delivered straight to your inbox. Subscribe to Hyphenly. The link to the newsletter is in the show notes. And now to today's episode. It's December 10th, 2022. We're in Qatar for the quarterfinals of the FIFA Men's World Cup. Today's matchup, Portugal versus Morocco. It's a pretty special occasion. Morocco are only the fourth African country in World Cup history to make it this far in the tournament. They've defied expectations at every turn, taking down strong contenders like Belgium and Spain. None of those other three African teams advanced to the semi-final, but could tonight be different? Let's find out. It's a slow start. Both teams are playing well. Portugal dominate possession, but they don't quite have an answer for Morocco's well-organized defense. João Felix gets a shot on goal on an early free kick, but Morocco's goalkeeper sprouts to action and makes the save, denying Portugal the lead. Half an hour in, still scoreless. Finally, Morocco get a chance with a cross from Yahya Atiat Allah, and he delivers. Youssef An-Nasiri heads it into the top right corner, and Morocco have the lead 1-0. Portugal get more chances to stay alive, but they simply can't get past Morocco's defense. They sub in Cristiano Ronaldo in the 51st minute. He's considered one of the greatest players in history, but even he can't make the difference. After a scoreless second half, it's official. Morocco have taken down Portugal, making history as the first African or Arab country ever to make it to a World Cup semi.
Morocco semi-finalists. Morocco 1, Portugal 0.
Coach Walid Regragui tells a French news station, quote, "Africa is back on the map of football today. We had the mentality. We knew we could make history for Africa." Their win proves that African and Arab nations can be threats to win the World Cup. So what got them there? Well, there's something pretty special about Morocco's squad. They have the highest number of foreign-born players of any national team. 14 players, to be exact, were born outside of the country. Morocco's Cinderella story begs the question: could foreign-born talent have been the key to their success at the last World Cup? Hey everyone, it's Kavitha Davidson, and welcome back to Sportly. The 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup will kick off on June 11th of next year, and the battle for the crown has already begun. As this episode airs, over 100 national federations are duking it out in qualifying matches for a slot in the main event. So far, 13 teams are in: Canada, Mexico, and the United States, which incidentally are the host nations. Japan, New Zealand, Iran, Argentina, Uzbekistan, South Korea, Austria, Brazil, Ecuador, and Jordan. That means that there are still 35 slots up for grabs. But just as striking as which countries make it is who's leading them there. You see, with every World Cup, more and more players are competing for countries other than the ones that they were born in. Foreign-born players are present and growing in lots of sports leagues, But with FIFA, the trend is really stark. The most recent World Cup in 2022 had more foreign-born players than ever before, 16.5% to be exact, up from 11.2 in 2018. And recent changes to eligibility rules have helped to build the momentum. So what's driving this shift toward many countries including more foreign-born players at the highest level? How did Morocco turn their diaspora into a World Cup powerhouse? And when does recruiting foreign-born players cross the line? Let's check back in on Morocco's historic 2022 run. It's December 14th, 2022, and we're back in Qatar, this time for the semi-final match between Morocco and France. Tonight, Morocco will face their toughest competition yet, the defending World Cup champions from France, touting stars like Kylian Mbappe and Antoine Griezmann. Needless to say, Morocco's not off to a great start. The French score just 5 minutes into the match.
Patience is important for France. Oh, but a slip by El Yamik, allowing Antoine Griezmann into the middle. Mbappe might have a second chance, got it away, it was blocked. From the far side, Teo Hernandez scores!
44 minutes in, Morocco almost tie it up with an audacious bicycle kick from Javad Al Yamik, but it's kept out by French goalkeeper Hugo Lloris. It's a frustrating match to watch. Morocco dominate possession, but they're unable to make it count. And after a long drought on both sides, we get another goal from France.
Mbappe, Amrabat got to be careful. Mbappe weaving through, deflected shot, and through on the far side. And France have their second.
In the end, Morocco's historic run is cut short, with France through to the World Cup final with a 2-0 victory. But Morocco still have plenty to be proud of. As the first African country to reach the semifinals, Morocco has created hope for countries around the globe in a tournament that has only ever been won by Europeans and South Americans. Part of Morocco's success could be about an increasingly popular strategy that they're employing, attracting players born in other countries. How does that end up happening? For that, let's rewind the clock a few more years. The year is 2017, and Munir El Haddadi, a promising young player on the Spanish national team, is ready for a change. There are a few ways that players can move around teams. For one, they can qualify through natural migration, when a player has lived in a country from a young age, even if they weren't born there. They can also qualify by moving to a country specifically for soccer and living there for at least 5 years. And finally, players with ancestral ties to another country are eligible to go and play for their national team. Luckily for El Haddadi, although he was born in Spain, his father is Moroccan. So when the Moroccan national team reaches out to El Haddadi asking him to come on board, it's an easy decision. He is Moroccan, after all, and Spain just isn't giving him any playing time. El Haddadi and the Royal Moroccan Football Federation reach out to FIFA requesting an official allegiance change, and it's promptly rejected. Why? That answer lies in a Euro qualifier game back in 2014. You see, although El Haddadi didn't start for Spain, he did get subbed in for a total of 13 playing minutes. And that one game meant that he was locked into playing for Spain for the rest of his career. Eligibility rules at that time stated that if a player competed at all for a country at the senior level, they could no longer move around. Spain's own national team coach, Vicente Del Bosque, said he regretted subbing in El Haddadi and that he only ever did it because another player was injured. But in 2020, things turn around. There's an official rule change, making it easier for players to change their allegiance. The specifics here can get pretty complicated, but the new rules allow players to switch teams as long as they played no more than 3 official matches prior to turning 21, not including the World Cup or Continental Finals. FIFA President Gianni Infantino says, quote, We have amended the eligibility rules for national teams because it is important in a globalized world where players maybe have 2 or 3 different nationalities that they are given the opportunity to choose their country or to change if certain strict conditions are met. After a couple of brief hiccups, El Haddadi is finally allowed to swap his allegiance to Morocco, where he's been competing since 2021. He tells the media, quote, "I've just been informed that I can finally play for Morocco. It is a pride for me to play for my country after all the work we have done to change my situation." But it's not just a win for El Haddadi. It's a win for professional soccer players around the globe who can more easily represent the country that will value their talent. And it's a win for national teams, especially those that have historically struggled against the European and South American powerhouses. Many of the most talented European players are actually the children or grandchildren of African migrants. It's part of a broader story in soccer where many of the best talents have wound up playing for the countries that colonized their ancestors. And it's been happening for quite some time.
Meta AI is the personal AI to help you with whatever you need. Plus, it meets you where you are. Not only is Meta AI now an app, but it's also on the apps you already know and love: Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. Plus the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. It's easy to access wherever you are. So whether you're talking or texting, Meta AI is convenient to use throughout your day. Experience our newest AI that's tailored to you by downloading the Meta AI app. Try the Meta AI app today on the Apple App Store and Google Play.
In the 1950s, Antonio de Oliveira Salazar, Portugal's dictator, began incorporating talent from their African colonies to boost their team's standing. A decade later, in the 1966 World Cup, Portugal finished third, a feat they likely wouldn't have been able to accomplish without players from their colonies. These days, by tapping into their diaspora, an African national team might be able to bring some of that talent back. It's a strategy that Morocco are clearly embracing. Between the 14 foreign-born players on their 2022 squad, 13 were born in Europe with Moroccan parents or grandparents. Even their coach, Walid Regragui, is a second-generation French-Moroccan who was born and raised in France. Now, in fairness, one great season isn't quite enough to prove that Morocco has cracked some kind of code. So, looking ahead to the 2026 World Cup, how are they doing? It's March 25th, 2025. We're in Morocco for a Confederation of African Football qualifying match between Morocco's national team and Tanzania. These are the games that get you into the next World Cup. So far, Morocco has been dominating, going 4 for 4 in their qualification matches.
So underway, Morocco looking to continue their 100% record. Just bounced off.
Today's match against Tanzania is off to a slow start. Both teams failed to score any goals in the first half. In the second half, however, Morocco wins a corner and they come alive.
The dam is burst.
El Yamik's header is saved, but Naif Aguerd slots in the rebound.
It's Naif Aguerd, who was in the right spot at the right time.
Just 10 minutes later, Tanzania gives up a penalty.
And listen to the roar as he slots home Morocco's number 10.
And Morocco converts, taking the lead 2-0. Tanzania takes 4 more shots before the clock runs out, but each either misses the goal or is saved by Morocco. Finally, the whistle is blown and Morocco's perfect record is still intact. So clearly, Morocco are doing something right, and their foreign-born roster might be a big part of it. After all, these players aren't just falling into Morocco's lap. Their football federation had carefully set up scouting networks all across countries that have a large Moroccan diaspora. Over the last couple of decades, they've invested millions into growing the game through new infrastructure and even a devoted soccer academy, wooing diaspora players into leaving their countries of birth. With their efforts, they've successfully lured superstars like Achraf Hakimi and Hakim Ziyech away from Spain and the Netherlands. And they have their run at the last World Cup and their run in the lead up to the next one to show for it. As soccer sees an uptick in foreign-born players worldwide, Morocco aren't the only country embracing their diaspora. The Indonesian national soccer team has more players born in the Netherlands than in Indonesia, and on a recent squad, 19 of 29 were born outside the country. That includes goalkeeper Marten Paz. Even though he was born and raised in the Netherlands, he's eligible to represent Indonesia because his grandmother was born there. Paz said he doesn't necessarily feel Indonesian, but wearing the badge of the nation on his kit is a source of immense pride. In a way, it's a reversal of a centuries-long legacy. Players with ancestry tracing back to former Dutch colonies, like Suriname, have historically elected to play for the Netherlands. That includes some of the best Dutch players ever, like Patrick Kluivert and Virgil van Dijk. Now that diaspora players can more easily represent the homeland of their ancestors, we might see a shift in world soccer and more stories like Morocco's or Indonesia's. Now, there is a flip side to all of this. Since FIFA changed its eligibility rules, we are seeing more feel-good stories about players returning to their ancestral homelands. But this change may have also opened the door for some countries to game the system. You see, players don't have to have ancestral ties to another country to switch teams. Living in a country for 5 years is also enough to qualify. So countries like Qatar and the UAE have been accused of importing talent from countries like Brazil while depriving local players of opportunities. In fact, it was Qatar's attempts back in 2004 to field 3 Brazilian nationals that prompted FIFA to tighten its eligibility rules in the first place. And even in 2015, then FIFA president Sepp Blatter warned that they would be monitoring the Qatari team's selection process. In recent years, Qatar has fielded players from countries like Brazil, Sudan, and Ghana, often players with dubious ties to the country outside of soccer. And that comes even as Qatar as a nation has some of the strictest naturalization laws in the world. And while these athletes are considered naturalized, their citizenship is temporary, and it doesn't give them access to all the same benefits as full citizens. Only with exceptional performance in their sport can the citizenship be made permanent. The UAE presents a similar case. While they've historically encouraged immigration, it's practically impossible to become a citizen. It was only in 2018 that the Emirati government passed a decree allowing expats to represent the country in sporting events, hoping to expand the country's talent base and encourage loyalty to the UAE. On their squad for the 2026 World Cup qualifiers, 10 of 26 players were born abroad, including 8 naturalized Brazilians. This has caused concerns for the development of local talent, who lose out on playing time in favor of high-priced imported players. But some players think of it differently. For example, Khalid Al-Hashemi, a defender for the Emirati national team, said that it helps push the local players to do more and work harder. Cases like this demonstrate that even within the same rules, there is a difference between recruiting foreign-born players with ties to their ancestral homelands and front-loading your team with essentially hired guns from around the world in a tournament that's supposedly about national pride. Ultimately, the spirit of the rules allowing for diaspora players on national teams is commendable. It allows teams to right historical wrongs by letting players choose between representing their countries of birth or their ancestors' homelands. But at the end of the day, let's be real. The main goal for each team is winning. Recruiting foreign-born players has clearly helped countries like Morocco and Indonesia find success on the World Cup stage. So even if countries like Qatar and the UAE seem to be violating the spirit of roster rules while keeping within the letter of the law, their strategy hasn't exactly borne fruit yet. The UAE failed to qualify for the 2022 World Cup, and as the host country, Qatar was granted an automatic berth to the tournament, but they failed to win a single match. Maybe it's karma. We'll have to wait to see what happens in 2026. Thanks for tuning into Sportly. Tune in next week and every week after for a new episode. And if you've got thoughts or suggestions for a topic you'd like me to cover, I'd love to hear from you. Please email me at kavitha@immigrantlypod.com. And if typing a long email isn't your thing, record and attach a voice memo to your email. Sportly is an Immigrantly media production. This episode was produced by Sadia Khan, written by Nicholas Black, Shamir Nawaz, and me, Kavitha Davidson. Research and fact-checking by Shamir Nawaz. Our sound designer and editor is Paroma Chakravarti. Our theme music was created by Simon Hutchinson. Other music by Epidemic Sound. Tune back in next week for more Sportly.